This is the part where I say we're being selfish. When we tell somebody that we're not willing to change who we are, you don't go into a interview and continue to be yourself. You go into an interview and be who they want you to be because you need something that they're giving, that they have. That's where you change who you are, but not morals. Mm-hmm. You change your realistic value of saying, this is who I am, and this perspective after I take off my suit and tie.
I done been through so much shit you couldn't fantasize it. Trying to speak on what I lost, but I could never find it. I'm sorry if I get that love that I can't recognize.
Welcome back to Opinionated, the podcast, season 2. I am your host, Joshua Hicks, and alongside me, as always, is my brother from another mother, Ree Washington. And today, we got the famous Rico with us. But before we get into Rico's story, we got to give a special shout out to Society, located in Kansas City, that's letting us shoot today. So, Rico, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
I'm Rico, as you already said. Like I said, man, I'm just a businessman, and I'm just trying to make it. I don't know what else needs to be said, what else needs to be known about me.
This is my barber second, but my brother first, by the way.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, Rico, before we even get into the conversation, I want to hit home a little bit first. Before you became a barber and owned your own business, at 18, your life changed. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so yeah, about 18, man. The biggest pinnacle in my life that some people may not think that is a pinnacle or a stepping stone was I experienced being incarcerated. The incarceration process, I did 4 years, 10 months. It was drug related or whatnot. You know, when you have that ambition, I have ambition tatted across my chest, and that's wanting to have success and desire for power. And that's something that's hard to overcome with people or just my type of personality, bro. So my biggest thing was, man, I was trying to get after it. And bad turns and bad burns, stuff like that happens. So I sat down for about 4 years, 10 months. When I got out, I was 23. Got out after my birthday. And that was a big part of my life. And the reason I'm saying that is because it instilled a drive in me that said, hey, you got to go get it now. You have no choice. You're late. So the biggest thing that I focus on with me is I'm battling time. I don't battle anybody else. I don't battle anybody's net worth. I don't battle anybody's taxes or what they made this year. I'm in competition with me. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I want to be better than I was last year. So that with that testimony being said, it was always tough for me to sit still or not want to be going and getting after it. But that's the thing we talked about with ambition. Mm-hmm. Ambition's tough to handle. Success and desire for power. So when you run into things like that, you got other people that are on the same path as you. You have other people that are trying to go after and get the same thing as you. So sometimes you got to find your niche and your lane. Mm-hmm. At 18, getting out at 23, man, it was tough. Halfway house, having nothing, police taking everything. My fault. Sometimes we got to learn to accept who we are and what we did, and then we can overcome that. So the biggest portion of that and that situation is learning to overcome.
What was the biggest transition to you when you got out? What was the hardest transition that you found?
Most people would say coming home, but for me, bro, it wasn't. There was not a whole bunch different. I knew where I was at. I knew I was coming back to Kansas City. The biggest transition was trying not to fall back into the past ways, trying not to be in the bad circle. Not saying the bad. Try not to be in that circle I was in already. Mm-hmm. That circle's tough, and that's what we fail to lack. We lack that portion of people in your circle have to be on the same thing as you to succeed. Right. You can't succeed with somebody else telling you, hey, just come do this real quick, and you know it's not good for you. Mm-hmm. When you know it's not good for you, but it's easy for you, this is where we diminish ourselves. It may not be good for me, but it is the easy path. Sometimes taking the harder path is what we have to do up here. It's not always just going after and getting it physically. It's about doing it up here mentally. And that word no, that's huge. Nah, I can't do it, bro.
And how did you find yourself, after 4 years, 10 months, correct?
Yeah.
Realizing, okay, looking yourself in the mirror saying my circle has to change. I have to be a better person because I want more out of life. Because right now you have a lot of people growing up today, it's a copycat syndrome that Ree and I always talk a lot about, where they know it might not be right, but since they're hanging out with a certain person they don't want to see lame, how does a person or one individual find themselves saying, you know what, I know what's for me?
Biggest thing, man, is a visual aid. Sometimes we have to sit back and observe before we act, or before we make a decision that says, I'm going to cut you off. Sometimes those decisions have to be visual, and then we make them mental. The visual aid for me, when I knew my circle wasn't right, or the people I was being around, or the people I was being with, man, and if we want to really get down to the gritty, man, people started passing away, and they weren't passing away in the best way we want to talk about. You know, I was into some real, you know.
Right.
I try to keep it, level with that, but you have to observe that, and you have to say to yourself, hey, is this right for me? My kids were born. Biggest thing, my son was born. Man, did that change who I was?
Right.
That was huge for me. Other than that, I knew I had a mouth to feed. My son would look up to me and say, I love you. But the agape love I have for people was the difference of love that I had for my son.
Can you further explain that?
So agape love, what I'm saying when I say that is that a natural love for people. Hey, I love you and I care about you. I care about your well-being. But the love I have for my son is I'm willing to live for you and die for you. Okay? Most people say, I'll die for you. No, but I'm willing to live for you too. So that's what changed my mind and flipped the switch in my head to make sure that I knew, yeah, let's go get after it. It's time. That was the biggest switch that flipped, was the motivation of my son. But I'm sure a lot of people say that, but I had self-motivation as well too. So that comes into play as also you have to have the integrity to be somebody different. You have to have the integrity to have different types of skin.
To be yourself. I think you have to have integrity just to be yourself in a world where you have a bunch of copycats and you have everybody doing the same thing.
Absolutely. And I would like to, like I said, I like to touch base on the part of where I think we're being selfish and selfless with the copycat syndrome, where people think that they say, this is a big saying that people see, take me as who I am or don't take me at all.
Right.
This is the part where I say we're being selfish. When we tell somebody that we're not willing to change who we are, you don't go into a interview and continue to be yourself. You go into an interview and be who they want you to be because you need something that they're giving, that they have. That's where you change who you are, but not morals. You change your realistic value of saying, this is who I am and this perspective after I take off my suit and tie.
Right.
When you put on your jogging suit, you may be somebody different. But when you have a suit and tie on, or you're trying to be that part, you have to act that part, be that part. We're not saying be fake, but what I'm saying is be a chameleon. Blend in wherever you can blend in at. You don't have to be a serpent. You don't have to be anything like that, snaky, but you have to blend in to be the part. You don't go to someone else's house and say, shit, at my house, my feet on the couch, and you put your feet up on my couch. It's not who we be. It's not how we move. Once people can learn to be their self in different shades of light, that's when we become greater. The biggest perspective of life is becoming greater. People don't like to hear that. People don't like to sit there and think about being greater. They want to think, what does it take to get by?
Yeah.
And we have a big issue with what does it take to get by? Because people think waking up in a 9 to 5 is great. Awesome. I don't knock it. Not knocking a 9 to 5. But what I will say is, where is your ambition to be greater?
Do you think they get that from when they're young, though? Or is that just something that some people don't have? Some people are cool and content with just having the bare minimum.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You touch base on both of those. So both of those are correct. You can be born into being complacent. When my shirt gets too little, right? Say my shirt's too tight. What do? We go get a new one, right? But how do we feel?
What do you mean?
When your shirt is too tight or your clothing's too tight, what do you feel?
Well, shit, I like mine fitted.
Boy.
Restricted. But he does like his tight.
Yeah, so maybe a different analogy for you, but where I'm going with that is, when I'm uncomfortable,
Right.
I make change.
Right.
So if your shirt or your clothes don't fit, we make change. We're uncomfortable in what we're in. We have to be uncomfortable in the skin we are. When we're complacent with what we're doing or the clothes that we're wearing, we won't make change, or we'll become complacent. We'll wear those motherfuckers until it's all the way the ass is out.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you because I think it is generational. For me, I'm a substitute teacher, so I'm around the youth right now, and I'll tell you right now, these kids today, they're not going to settle for anything that they think is below them. Mm-hmm. So a 9 to 5, we say that, hey, we got to do it. Our generations before us, they took that 9 to 5 job because they had to fulfill a occupation
Absolutely.
or a job for their family, to take care of their family needs.
Absolutely.
These group of kids today are saying, look, $11 an hour at McDonald's, that ain't cutting it.
That ain't cutting it.
But at the same time, I was actually having this conversation with somebody, and yes, I think we're that generation to get up and say, fuck it, if it's not for us, it's not for us. But at the same time, like, how can you want more pay than this person who put the years in behind it?
Absolutely.
You're paying me for these years that I put into this and the time that I spent and the quality of everything that I've, and put into this. So at the same time, I understand what they mean, like $11, what is that? But at the same time, if you ain't graduated or you don't have anything to show that you're worth getting paid that much, how can I pay you that much?
And I agree, and I disagree with you.
Absolutely.
Because you got to think, a lot of these kids, they're saying, okay, cool, you've been working at McDonald's, and I'm using McDonald's as an analogy. I hope nobody takes offense to this.
Personally,
but
yeah.
McDonald's, for instance, if you are the assistant manager at McDonald's and it's a rush crowd coming in, you're working fries. A 16-year-old who's in high school is also working fries with you. So when they see that, they don't see that there's not a level up. So even though you might have been working there for 10 years and you might be making $18 an hour now, you're still working fries. Right. So to them, they're saying there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. There is no separation between you and I besides age. So when they get to that job and they're saying, you know what? Nah, this job ain't it. Enough is enough. They're not going to settle for a job and be unhappy for 15, 20 years, until retirement. They want theirs now.
But that's the problem, too. I think I agree with you, but I think that's the problem now. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants it now. They want that instant. You know what I'm saying? They want to get paid that, or they want this high-paying job.
It's called an obligation. It's called an obligation. This generation feels obligated. Sorry to interrupt you.
No,
this generation feels obligated to have whatever they want. To have that. Our generation, we grew up knowing that we had to work for what we wanted.
Right.
Go out there and grind for what we needed. And this generation now thinks that they're obligated because our generation taught them that it was easier to get it that way. We showed them the part where you got it. We didn't show the part where you get it.
Behind the scenes. Yeah.
So the obligation for the younger generation is thinking that this is me, $11, that ain't enough. I get it. But now I want you guys to understand this. There's a lot of people that do music. There's a lot of people that are wannabes. They want to be artists. They want to be this and that and the third. I want you guys to always remember this. Everyone's a wannabe until they become who they want to be. So don't be discouraged by the wannabe syndrome. Be a wannabe whatever you want to be.
Right.
But this is where the chameleon comes in and says, hey, I have to blend into to that person. I have to become the CEO.
I have to be that person.
I have to be that person before I can actually be that person.
Right.
And people aren't deciphering that. So many real niggas out here. It's so many I'm a real nigga syndrome out here that we're having issues with. Where's the niggas that is just normal niggas? Mm-hmm. Where's the niggas that can be normal?
Right.
Where's the brothers and the homies and the people that can be their self, but still don't have to be the chief of everything? And we're running into that issue because now, even with the COVID situation, we're running to everyone wanting to be a business owner, but nobody wants to be a business worker.
Yep.
Everyone wants to open their own business, and that's awesome. COVID taught us how to be great.
Right.
I'm sorry to say it that way, that we had to have a pandemic to learn how to be great and learn that we're worth this or we don't have to do that to get this, but it did. And I think the government may have messed up on that. I may not, I don't really like to get into politics, but the government may have messed up on that and showed us like, hey, they know now. Mm-hmm. They're awake. Now everyone's coming to get businesses, but some of us just don't have the business mindset. Mm-hmm. We're not apt to be businessmen or businesswomen.
But that's one thing that, your barber touched on.
Yeah.
Everybody promotes and everybody does everything to open a business, but nobody does it.
What it takes to run the business.
Because LeBron James, and to piggyback off of what Rico was saying, LeBron James said something interesting that I read. He said, you can't be happy to be here. And what that means is, yeah, you do just enough to get to the league, but what are you going to do to stay in the league? A lot of people today are just happy to be here.
Just happy to be around.
As soon as you get a job, oh, man, I got the job.
Right.
But, okay, you got to have this job for X amount of years if that's what you want. Some people are just happy for that paycheck for the end of the month, and then they done.
And that's where we talk about the circle. That's a visual aid to show you, hey, I'm actually blood, sweat, and tears grinding. I'm really going to get it. You're just being here, bro.
Right.
You love being around the money. You love being around the fame. You love trying to piggyback off me.
That FOMO.
Sometimes our backpacks get full and we have to let people out of them.
Yeah.
We can't put everybody in our backpack and carry them around. It doesn't happen that way. We only have certain room for certain people. But the potential of who you are, the intellect of who you are, has to be shown for you to be in my circle nowadays. The intellect, when I touch on intellect, when I'm talking about intellect, I'm talking about your intelligence of who you are. What do you want to be? Sometimes I'll sit my homeboys down and be like, bro, what's your plan, bro? We damn near this age. What you got going on? What's your plan? And if them motherfuckers pause, we may not speak to each other again. I still love you, little bro. I still love you, bro, whoever. But now we have to separate because you wasn't off the hip with it. You didn't have a plan. Now you're making up things to guess who you want to be.
Right. So kind of drawing from that, would you help them figure it out? Right. Or like, would you pick their mind to kind of be like,
hey. At this age, bro, if you didn't figure out, bro, I'm sorry for you. Mm-hmm. This is where we become a moralistic value and a realistic value.
Yep.
I'm going to spread myself thin trying to make you great. I'm going to spread my ideas to you so that you're in the same field as me. I get it. But, bro, you have to want something before I can give you something.
Right.
If you don't want nothing, anything I give you will be nothing.
Yeah, you're not going to look at it the same. You're not going to appreciate it the same.
You won't appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Oh, shit, thanks, bro. I can give you $100. If you don't want no money, I mean, what the fuck is going to do for you?
Right.
We got to understand that. And I think that we lack that with our homeboys, within ourselves.
Because you got to separate, and sorry to cut you out, Rico, you got to separate your outer court, your inner court, and then yourself.
Right.
So I was speaking to Michael Burks, who we had on in season 1, and he was saying he had to put friends and family on a 4-for-4 plan. And, I'm not talking Wendy's. Hey, in high school, he had cousins and family members that he was cool with. That's 4 years of life. You haven't changed nothing. Okay, cool. We're 18 years old. You're not supposed to know who you are yet. Go off to college for undergrad. That's another 4 years. Now this is 8 years in total. By the time he graduated law school, which was an additional 3 to 4 years, that's 12 years of life. If you are still acting like the same 14, 15-year-old kid that I knew back then, and we 25 years old now, I can't hang out with you.
Absolutely.
You're wasting time.
Yeah, I ain't mean to cut you off, but it's like learning how to categorize your friends and the people you hang out with. Like, I've watched it on a prior episode, not an episode, just a podcast alone. And he was just talking about like I can't always rock with the same people when it comes to money. Like, you always have those people who are stuck in the going out phase. You know what I mean? So okay, if you want to go out and have a good time, call them because they gonna be there. They ain't gonna mind buying the bottles. Mm-hmm. But then when it comes to talking about business, you can't sit down with everybody and talk about business. When it comes to money, you can't sit down and talk to everybody about money and stuff like that. So it's just learning how to categorize the people you're around. Like, you can't get the same love to that person as you could do that person because they're not going to appreciate it the same way.
Correct.
Like, I'm 100% with myself, and if I give you 10%, I'm going to see what you do with it.
Right.
If you disrespect it or you don't take care of it the way I would, you know what I'm saying, then I can't give you no more of me. I learned how to handle you. Mm-hmm. And then it's,
Absolutely, I agree with that. And so one of the biggest things, man, is mind mapping. And if you're a visual learner, I'm a visual learner. I do a lot of visual things. So mind mapping for me is taking people here. If we're going to talk about people, we put them all in the center. And then we separate who we want to be around our circle in the middle.
Right.
Some of those mind maps are way out here. Some of them circles are way out here. I need you for this. It may sound selfish, but sometimes we have to have I need you friends, not I want you friends.
Right.
When we want friends, we'll accept anybody. We'll take anybody to be whoever they want to be, whatever the case may be, because your burden now, if you're the want friend, your burden now is my burden. And that's another thing we have to focus on as well, is people's burdens or people doing things that have nothing to do with you, but now we're friends that you think that it's supposed to have something to do with me. Mm-hmm. And that becomes a big issue with life, period, is the I want you friends. Because now you want me so bad in your life, you just want to be around everybody and be cool so bad that now it's I want you, friend. I got your burdens now.
Why do you think people have that I want in them?
Because they've been lost. They've been lost of who they are.
Right.
When you damage the character of yourself, you become lost. So now you're trying to find it within everybody else.
I feel like people nowadays, well, what we get a lot is people walk around and they accumulate everybody else's energy. They accumulate everybody else's emptiness, their sads, their smiles, everything that, you know, has to do with that person. They accumulate that. And in the midst of it, they don't even know who themselves are.
This is a very depressed generation.
Right.
And I hate to say that I'm not knocking the generation, but listen to the music. A Triple, what's his name?
XX.
You got to think about all the everything's about downer peels and this and that, and everybody's just depressed or suicidal. I mean, you got all these. When I was growing up, bro, it wasn't no songs like that talking about suicide.
Right.
Suicide was a form of weakness growing up. So we have to separate who we are, bro. And I'm not saying that generation's weak. It's some thorough ones in the generation. It is. But at the same time, bro, we still have to be like, you know, what are we doing wrong that we can change now? Or are we too far gone?
I think we're to the point where, to answer that question, we're too far gone. I think now, you got to understand, we got a generation of kids growing up today that have not ever grown up with social media or cell phones. You know, when I got my first cell phone, I was like 9, 10 years old. I thought I was big shot. Now you got kids who, I know some kids who are 5 years old, I kid you not, who got a cell phone. Yep. So when you don't even have enough time to establish who you are yet, because you have social media at such a young age and you're seeing what makes everybody popular or makes everybody cool, you don't build that own mindset of, okay, you know what, that's not cool. So I think we're too far gone.
Right. And another thing with the cell phone, touch on that cell phone basis and the iPads and different things like that. The generation is so smart that they're almost stupid.
Yeah.
And I hate, like I said, I'm not knocking.
I know where you're going.
I'm not knocking.
This generation, technology-wise, will knock anybody out the water.
Blowing
they
out the
can,
water.
You have 2, 3-year-olds, they know how to work an iPhone, iPad, whatever the case is. But what they lack, and what I see as an educator, is, I won't say common sense, but what is the correct term for it? Like,
I know exactly what you're trying to say.
Come on, pull it out.
I can't say their motor skills, but it's they can't figure things out.
Yeah,
they
it's
just
a
can't
certain
figure.
word for that.
It's
That's
a
on the
certain
tip
word,
of my tongue
and I'm forgetting right now.
But what he's saying is basically they lack thereof is they're choosing what they need to do. It's almost like common sense. But say the light is red out there, and they know they need to stop. They don't know because it turned orange. What do I do here? That's what we're talking about. The lack thereof is decision making skills.
Critical thinking too.
Critical thinking
skills.
And it's huge. But like I said, I'm not here to just knock the generation, but I am here to be opinionated on things about generational wealth, generational health, generational decision making, things like that. Because in the near future, my kids are gonna grow up, and I don't want them to be a part of a failure. I want them to be everything I do, Ree, everything I do. I make sure that I'm saying, hey, how do I be greater?
Because at the end of the day, even picking up off of you, we can't blame this generation for anything. We're so quick to throw it on them and say, they don't know this, they don't know that. But what are we doing?
Right.
This is why we have this platform here today to say, okay, look, I'm gonna take you by the hand. I'm gonna show you, hey, this is how you do this. This is how you do this. Hey, you're better at technology than I am. Hey, social media, you guys can run a business like no one else.
Right.
But your critical thinking skills, they're lacking because, hey, we showed you the easy way of how to do everything. But now we need to circle back and show them, hey, there's a grind to it. There's a grind to this process to get where you want to be in life.
They're discouraged by bumps in the road, right. and that's huge. Even my kids, I'll say that now. Even my kids, I spoil them so much, but I still teach them the techniques and the skills to be apt with the grind. But I spoil them so much, it just that when they fail, they take it hard. They take it way too hard.
They don't know how to handle it.
They don't know how to handle that. When we got bumps, bruises, scrapes, any of that, boy, We got right back to it.
Right.
Hey, I can do it better this time. I'm going to try it again. My kids and the kids that I've seen now, they'll give up. They'll give up quick in a heartbeat because it's another way to skin a cat, they feel like.
So if we talking about it, what are some ways to fix it? What are some ways, some avenues for anybody who is watching, who has kids? And how do you kind of fix it, or how do you kind of nip it in the butt? You'd have kids, we don't, what I'm saying? So I think you might have a different perspective on how to fix things like that.
The way my approach has been more of a drive. Yeah. It's more of a, this is right and this is wrong. This is the stem of the situation, or this is why we do this. But sometimes I'll let my kids fail, and it sounds crazy. Might sound crazy. Sometimes I'll let my kids. It's just like riding a bike. Jump on there. Go ahead. I'm right here. I got you. Your knee's gonna get scraped up if you fall. Maybe, possibly. Maybe you're perfect at it. Mm-hmm. But I give them an option to fail first before I step in and try to fix anything. Because if they figure something out that I didn't know, or that I wasn't doing right, then what are we fixing? What do I need to fix?
Right.
It wasn't broken. You found out how to do it better than me, and I'm proud of you. That's where the premonition of being proud comes from. That's where we say, hey, I'm excited about this. I love watching you grow up. My kids, I love watching them grow up. Because you got a little you learning different things than you, but doing the same things as you. If we're talking about kids. And one day you guys may experience that or whatever. I don't know what you guys want to do. But like I said, one day you guys will
experience. We bag them up.
But we'll definitely touch base on with that when it comes around.
Just to spin it, rights and wrongs. I feel like I think this generation is trying to rewrite right and wrong.
Yeah, that's huge.
And I think they're making it so personal. And there's a thin line between it. We spoke about that. That's why I kind of want to drag you into that.
I'm glad you touched on that. Because you got to think of it this way. This generation man, I'm so tired of saying this generation. But these people now think about right and wrong as they make everything socially right. Remember back in the day when you be like, bro, what is you doing on crack, bro? The fuck? These niggas now, shit, if you ain't doing it, you fucked up. Right. You're lame.
Yeah, and me and Reese speak on that because, like, we smoking like, hey, growing up in middle school, whatever the case may be, like, oh, he smoked weed, like, oh, like, yeah. Man, now, man, you got everybody doing it, and I don't do it, or like Ree doesn't do it. So like when we go to certain places, people offer it to us, and we be like, nah, they look at us like.
It's such a connector now. Like that's what I feel like. I met girls, but you trying to spark? Look, I don't smoke, baby.
And I'm about tired of the social smoking, the social let's get to know each other through smoking, bro. I don't need to do that. My mouth work, my mind work. I don't have to suppress myself to be better for you. We don't have to down who we are. Because sometimes we'll drink, we'll get high, and we'll do that. And, probably I don't, but I'll drink here on occasion and shit like that. And we use that as an escape. Right. Bro, sometimes you got to face reality and face the world. And we don't do that. A lot of people won't do that.
I don't think a lot of people can. That's the thing.
And that's a problem. We're not teaching that. We're not telling our friends. We're not growing our friends because once you say something wrong against anything, you're the bad guy. You're lame. You're the villain. You're the villain. I'm coming after you. And they're going to tell their homie. They're going to tell the next person. Everybody on the
and the famous line is gonna be, "You changed."
You changed.
Duh. Yeah, I changed.
Because I seen something better in my life that I wanted, and I like to say I'd rather be the villain if I'm telling the truth.
And that's another thing. We have a big discussion. There's big debates about smoking. Just simple. We'll touch base on that. About smoking. People, there's forums and debates. People, it helps you do this. It helps you do that. This and the third. But look at it this way. If I'm feeling hindered or slowed down in any way, mentally, I know it's not better for me. I perform better when I'm fully clear and saying who I am. You'll have people go to jail. Think of it this way. You'll have people go to jail that were addicts, right? They get clean, do their time, this and that. They're healthy, skin's glowing. They look really good. Their mind's working well. Think about that person before. And it may be different drugs and this and that, and this all from the earth and this and that thing. Boy, if I go eat poison ivy, you think that's good for me because it's from the earth?
Right.
No, it's not. So we have to understand that as well, too. Just because it's from the earth does not mean it's great for you.
all the time.
All the time.
Right.
There's ways to go about things, and there's ways not to go about things, and we get lost in translation, bro.
Yeah.
We get lost in translation.
When it comes to multiple things, I believe.
Yeah, and that's factual.
When it comes
But like I said, I'm not knocking nobody on who they are or what they do, because at the end of the day, I'm in battle with me of how much I made last year. My love is different than your love. What's important to you may not be important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say I'm okay with just being complacent and living my life, and I don't need no money. I getting by. My 9 to 5 pays for this. Oh wow, I got a little raise and this and that and the third. But look at you working and building this man's corporation, this man's business. You're doing great at building his business. He made $1 billion this year, and you got paid $21 an hour. You got paid $20 an hour. That sounds like a lot. Sounds good, doesn't it? $20 an hour for 8 hours. Do the math on that. You made $160 in the day. That felt real good. Yeah, do that for 5 days, 6 days, whatever it is. Okay, cool little check. But he made $1 billion off you, and you feel like you're worth $20 an hour. Sometimes we have to show who we are to be appreciated in a different way, and that's what COVID showed a lot of business owners, a lot of people that were blue bloods. And if nobody knows what blue bloods, for the viewers as well, blue bloods was the wealthy people that were way before our time, that kept generational wealth, as you touch on, and they keep it going and pass it down to their families. So it starts with you. If you want to be a blue blood, you need to be great. Right. You need to have something to give down to your kids. Once you reach a pinnacle or a portion of your life, it's time to start making life for your life. Right. Do you get what I'm saying when I say that? Make life for the kids. Be pro-life. Make life for the kids. Your situation, just, you're going to slide by. Bro, it's over. It's time. Mm-hmm. Change the future. Right. We don't dwell in the past. We change the future of who we are.
Not to cut you off, I know we've had good conversations, and I think it'll be also beneficial for the viewers, and then maybe just another outlet for you too as well, Josh. When it comes to relationships, what do you think they're losing nowadays? Because I know you're very broad, and I think you have an understanding for it when it comes to why they don't work or the things that they're missing.
People don't want to hear this. This is something people might put some fire under their ass right now. I think, me personally, relationships, it's fairy tale. Our generation, we're speaking on our generation now. We grew up watching Beauty and the Beast, Mickey Mouse, different things like that. And someone always had a partner. Even the princesses and the kings and whatever, princes, whatever. They always had a partner, right? And we thought that was, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. It's fairy tale. The relationship now, bro, there's no substance. It's people hooking up and people hooking up. Sometimes we may never see that person again. And me putting my energy in to not receive nothing back, or it be done after tonight, it's not worth who I am, bro. It's not worth my energy at this point. Right. So now what do you call it? A tradition has been created. The energy I'm wasting, bro. I'm saving that. Right. We don't have to waste this energy. It's because to me, it's not real. You can be mad at me one day or see something better than me and want that. Now, if we have a love connection and this and that and the third, there's going to be a certain love. I did a relationship for 15 years. 15. I wasted a lot of time. I learned a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But the way I was damaged afterwards, or damaged that person as well, not playing victim, damaged that person as well. It wasn't worth the 15 years that we could have been happy, that we could have been smiling. We could have been friends.
Yeah, friends.
Because at the end of the day, I feel like marriage, and I'm not knocking married people, have your marriage, cool, fun, awesome. You guys on LinkedIn, but I feel marriage is fake too. Because now you put my name on paper. Now I feel like you're using this because, hey man, I put so much time in, I gotta have something when I'm done. Just in case we separate, I need something bad. I gotta get the house. I gotta get the cars. So now you're basically telling me that. Because if I ask you for a prenup, now we have an issue. Now there's a problem because now you don't trust me after all this time? So it's fake, bro. To me, it's fake. It's not a real thing. I know you guys probably want to play devil's advocate or whatnot.
No, I mean, Ree and I speak on it a lot. my parents, they've been married for 30 years. But again, that's a different generation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that, hey, some years they probably was knocking heads.
Yeah.
And some years was really great.
Mm-hmm.
And now they at the age now, they know each other so well. But the most important thing, a stranger once came up to my parents and said, she was analyzing them from a distance. She said, y'all are friends. My mama said, no, we're married. We're husband and wife. She said, no. But before anything, y'all are friends. I've watched y'all for 30 minutes, and y'all have held a conversation for 30 minutes. Nobody has gone on their phone. There hasn't been no like random like moments of silence or anything.
Right.
I think with our generation, love and marriage can work. But if you weren't friends from the get-go or built that friendship, it won't work. Once again, going back to the weed, if y'all got together solely off of weed and that's how y'all connection was, it's not gonna work.
That's soon to pass. Yep,
Right.
absolutely.
I mean, we spoke about it too. I feel like that's what we miss. They don't take the time to get to know that person sitting across from them.
Right.
You know, they look at them from a physical standpoint, but have nothing to do with. They don't care about the inside. Like, I feel like people nowadays, like, they care about sex more than the person who they're having sex with. You know what I mean? And how their mind is after. Like, yeah, I'm just having sex with this one person, but don't have no mentality to do nothing else.
So would it be weird if I told you guys sex is a connection? It's a love language. Would it be odd for you guys to feel that?
Elaborate.
But you know what though? We giving them too much free game. I think we need to come back and hold another brothers episode where we speak about these things right here, Rico, because
Sweet.
this is an important topic that people need to understand. But
Yeah.
before we even get out of here, though, Rico, I want you to tell the people how they can get in contact with you and tell them a little bit about your businesses.
Okay. Like I said, I'm a barber, Ricos Cuts. You guys can go on Instagram at Ricos Cuts, RICOS_CUTZ. You guys can do that. I also got a gaming galaxy. It's a business. It's like an event center, 2,000 square feet of just pure fun, whatever you want. I got a 20-foot screen, movie theater in there, pop shop. We got 8 TVs across the wall, PlayStations, Xboxes everywhere, arcade games. It's great for any venue. We don't care. We'll accommodate. You guys can also do that with GamingGalaxyLLP.com and go on there and get that. We got clothing line, Cool on Most, the clothing line also. Like I said, you guys can just DM me or go on Instagram for that, whatever the case may be. It's not hard to find. You can find me on Google, Rico's Cuts, whatever the case may be. So,
Rico, man, it's been a pleasure to finally get to meet you, hear your story, and just share a little bit of knowledge with you. He goes by the name of Ree Washington. My name is Joshua Hicks. This is Opinionated, the podcast, season 2. Love, always.
She say, why is it when I call that you always hit decline? Cause every time I pick up, it's the same thing every time. You ask me how I'm doing, and I tell you that I'm fine. Trying to match these demons that I sing out.